Hello, it is day 23 of the R Advent Calendar for 2019. I hope you feel like you learned a lot. There's just a few days left to go, and I think you've probably come quite a long way if you hadn't ever looked at R before we started off. For today's lesson, we're going to talk about pound signs. I've been kind of using them a little bit throughout, um, but as this one indicates, if you put the pound sign or the hash sign in front of text, it's counted as a comment or pretty much ignored by R, and so you can put notes right into your script. I've sort of been doing this all along. We'll talk about this a little bit later. Um, I mean, you can see it in my code, right? Every day I've sort of had this pound sign, and if you run that line, nothing happens. It'll get printed to the console, and actually by default, RStudio will run the next line below that. Um, oh, dog's barking. Anyway, but they're very, very useful. So you can put them at the end of lines. I think I had done that way, way, way up here somewhere. Right, so I had done that all the way back on day 10. I had kind of shown you that in this install.packages line, you can see I put a hash sign after it and then a comment. And so that's ignored. You can still run this line just like normal, and it'll ignore that comment. The instructions also point out that you can put lots and lots of hash signs to sort of break everything apart, and R will sort of automatically group stuff below it. There's actually a shortcut in RStudio that I use sometimes. Control, Shift, and R will ask you to insert a section, and so we can call this R sections or whatever you want to call it. You hit enter, and it puts in this type of thing where you see this hash sign and then the name we called it and a whole bunch of dashes that kind of visually separates it. And then it also puts this little tiny, you might not even be able to see it unless you have the video full screen, but there's a small little arrow below it. And so if we click that, it will collapse everything below that section down into one line, and we can click the arrow again to expand it. And so those are really handy for organizing very, very large scripts. I could have been using it all along here, but I didn't. Regardless, I use R sections fairly commonly when I'm writing my own code. Again, in case you missed it, the keyboard shortcut for that is Control, Shift, and R. And it'll pop up that little dialog box that lets you name the section. All right, that's all for today. Pretty easy, just how to put comments in your code. Definitely comment your code. It will help you tremendously when you come back 2 months or 3 months from now to look at it, to realize, to understand what you were doing. I can't I can't say enough how important it is to drop some comments. You will thank yourself more than anyone else because you're the one that's going to be looking at this and trying to remember what you were doing months ago. All right. Hopefully that was easy enough. Any questions about comments, drop them down in the comments. Otherwise, we will talk to you tomorrow for the last couple of days.